don't know, but it'll be more fun if you're asking when we are. And we're live on the fourth floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Alex is on time. We don't want anybody else to show up because then it'll boot Alex out. So we've got Alex on the top.
No, I'm a good teammate, man. I'll be happy to sub out.
That's fine.
Are y'all shirts? Oh, yeah, we live. Okay.
We appreciate that. 4 strong. We've got Brady Hawk here on my, right. And we're going to get you ready for Heat and Thunder tonight in a game that doesn't mean a lot to the Heat, but kind of means a little bit, I guess. And we're going to go over the starting lineup first because I think that's what everybody's waiting for. And, of course, the Kendrick Nunn news, which is that he is back with the team. He was out of quarantine but not feeling particularly well. And so they're going to keep him away from the team, even though it is not related to COVID. Now, I put this on our Twitter feed earlier today. I said, does it matter to you whether you got the 4 or the 5 seed as a Heat fan? And it went about 70% doesn't matter. And the reality is it doesn't matter, guys, in the grand scheme of things. But I think as a pride thing, Heat fans would rather be the 4 than the 5 because it makes them feel like they would have had home court during the regular season. But we are seeing that they're starting a regular starting lineup tonight. So maybe it does matter to to Eric Spoelstra a little bit.
I mean, maybe. I feel like this is probably just kind of the last tune-up. I think that you're going to see short minutes from these guys, so maybe it's kind of establishing this lineup. You know, Goran being a starter again is reinforcing kind of what we saw initially last time. So I would imagine that this is basically the dress rehearsal for game 1, and they will just essentially show nothing to Indy in the final game. So maybe this is the last chance for them to get their wind and kind of it's the most realistic setting, even though the Thunder aren't really playing anybody either. I would expect to see short minutes, but obviously the usual suspects are in the lineup to start.
Alex, go ahead, Brady.
I definitely expect that next game, they're probably Butler and those guys and Dragic would probably sit out. That's what I would probably guess, not for one reason of just these veteran guys need to get a little bit of a break in, and also, like he said, not showing Indiana too much before the playoff series.
Alex, you think he'll even start the same starters in the second half?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, man. But this may be the last tune-up game. I honestly would probably bet on them maybe playing a few minutes early into the third quarter, 4 or 5 minutes, and then subbing out and mostly playing the end of rotation guys for the rest of the game. And then I think we're going to see a lot of that for most of the game versus Indy. Because at this point, it's like a 95% chance that the Heat end up with the 4, right?
Right.
Basically.
What would need to happen for the Heat to end up in 5?
They'd have to lose.
Philly would have to win out, right? No, excuse me.
No, it would just come down to losing. If the Heat lose the last 2, then I think Indy and Miami would flip-flop there at the very end.
And Indiana would have to win.
Correct.
Miami.
And Indy plays Houston in the middle game, right? So they've got one game in the middle.
That game's already over. They beat Houston today 108-104.
Okay.
So that's why this is essentially.
So that's why this one matters. All right. So basically that's right. Okay. So Miami, it would help to get a win to just secure the whole thing, but in the grand scheme. All right. Let's get into the starting situation here, because if you decided to start Goran Dragic again as Alf joins, with his signature, I don't know what that is.
Will Ferrell from Wedding Crashers.
That brings it back. We're both dating ourselves. If Goran Dragic has started 2 straight games and he's had Tyler Hero available to him, even if he hasn't had Kendrick Nunn, it would seem fairly unlikely that Tyler Hero is going to be the starter in game 1 of the playoffs. So it's not going to be him. And now you're not really getting Nunn any work until Friday. And if you get Nunn work Friday, if he's healthy enough to start, he's not really going to be playing in a game that means anything or with a lot of the other players he would play with in game 1 of the playoffs. So has that ship sailed, I guess? I mean, is it going to be Goran Dragic in game 1?
Yes.
I honestly think that it might be Nunn. I think that, like I said before, I think Goran works so much better on the bench with Hero, and it kind of messes up their bench unit when Dragic's starting. And I kind of see him, obviously he trusts Goran, but I think that the way that he's been even going with Nunn throughout his struggles, I think he's still going to roll with him in game 1 and give him the trust as well. And I feel like that the Goran obviously is going to stay as the major piece on that bench unit.
I'm with you there, Brady. I would really hope. I would be disappointed if game 1 of the Heat Pacers and they're starting Goran. But at the end of the day, I'm not really worried about this Pacers team. Even if TJ Warren apparently is going to be playing through plantar fasciitis, I'm not very worried about it.
You can't cheer injuries, man. Come on. We're better than that. We're journalists now. We're journalists.
He's been playing through it apparently, right?
No, I'm talking to Leif. Leif is on some high shit. We can't do that anymore. We're better than that.
I wasn't laughing at the injury. No, I wasn't laughing at the injury. No.
So you don't buy that there is an injury. You think that what happened the other day, and all of a sudden after the fact, they're saying there was an injury.
No, I thought it was an injury. I'm just right. Like it's probably just not that severe.
No, I ultimately, I just don't think he's going to be able to perform at the level that he was. So I think that it's essentially become a series that I would expect Miami to make short work of. So, I mean, and I don't mean that in any kind of like
he wasn't going to be able to perform at that level, and it has nothing to do with plantar fasciitis. It has everything to do with teams gearing up to stop TJ Warren. Like if you give Spo
black hole TJ Warren, by the way, the guy who's famously never averaged more than one assist in his career.
Okay, exactly. And
Right.
you're gonna give Spo time to game plan for 5 to 6 games against TJ Warren. Like the dude will disappear off the face of the planet Earth. Like he might not start game 5 if they play Indy in a 5-game series. Like I'm telling you, like they're gonna blame plantar fasciitis, but it doesn't matter. Like that guy was not gonna go off in a playoff series against Eric Spoelstra. Victor Oladipo, maybe. Malcolm Brogdon.
Plantar fasciitis is going off in the playoffs. All right. Plantar fasciitis is going off right now.
But here's the thing about it. You mentioned Oladipo, right? And I want to get to this. And Kylie will bring you in here. Pacer fans, I almost feel like if there was actual home court in these series, and the Pacers were playing at home, that Victor Oladipo might get booed, right? Like I mean, right? I mean you can't. I mean, I was reading the mentions on those videos, and I mean, this isn't just fraternizing with a team that may pursue you. This is fraternizing with a team whose best player or most well-known player is mocking the guy who's been leading you in scoring, playing a video on Instagram that says trash over and over and over, and you're going over to fraternize with this guy. I mean, Kylie, if you were in Indiana, would you boo Oladipo right now?
Okay, well, look, it's not his beef. It's not his problem. I told you I'm serious. I'm serious, bro. Like,
good answer.
Like, there are certain things, right? Like, you don't like. There's a bro code. There's girl code, right? That's not. There's no other people that are involved. I feel like it's not a big deal. Like maybe it is to TJ Warren, but like that sounds like a personal problem to me.
But from the fans' perspective, like they all changed their, just Twitter. If we're gonna go into this little bubble of Twitter, everyone was so behind TJ Warren with the avatars and all that kind of stuff that like to then see Oladipo get surrounded by all Heat players. I did see a few Pacer players say, I don't really know if I want him back. And so I think that there's some legitimacy to them looking at that and saying, is he flirting? Like what is happening there? And now we get 5 games of it. I'm not going to say 7 games of it. We're going to get 5 games of it.
I think the interesting thing too about all of this, like what makes it even more makes it bigger T is the fact that they're all on the bubble together. Like they can't escape each other.
Well, they're going to be in the bubble together with now 4 other guests, although no IG models. Which was
unless they knew the IG model before the bubble.
There has to be a pre-existing IG.
Tyler's in the clear.
Is Tyler in the clear?
Tyler got receipts. Tyler got receipts.
She said she's in love with him. They're in love, baby. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, what kind of relationship do you? We don't really want to talk about the OKC game. So what kind of relationship do you have to have? Okay,
you have to have been tagged in a photo on IG by the person.
Video, not just photo. Video.
Is that it? This is the most NBA rule of all time. It's fascinating. They should have just called it the IG rule. But it's just with the NBA, you're just like, whatever.
I felt like it was almost like the clutch rule too, because they're kind of like the way that they positioned it was like your long-standing friends are allowed to come in, Rich Paul and whoever else.
But Austin, I did not lose the headphones. They're being occupied at the moment. So
Cuffs the legend may not be allowed in because you may only know him from social media. That kind of thing.
No, Cuffs the legend. If you're not familiar with Cuffs the legend, 79-3, and they lied. Cuffs used to follow around LeBron when he was with the Heat, And then Cuffs has since adopted every front-running team that's ever existed afterwards, including the Patriots. So that's a pretty good reference.
Well, let me ask you guys something.
Yes.
Okay. So, and this is going to be sexist, and good thing that this isn't the official podcast and we don't have sponsors. But would you rather
SafeCubbies.com, Big Day Brewing, You Will Fix It. You will.
This has nothing to do with any of you guys. Would you if you're Tyler, would you rather have your IG girlfriend outside the bubble or in the bubble with a bunch of other NBA players? Like
outside.
She loves that man. She loves him. I think she loves him.
I don't know either way. Like
what credit? I'm so, okay. If any Jenner or Kardashian ends up in the bubble, that's where we're gonna get into trouble. Okay.
There goes your game.
So Kylie, you're declaring that there's love there, and what are we at? What was that? 4 months? That's a bubble relationship.
It's sweet. Have you seen them on Twitter? They're so cute on Twitter.
Tyler has UD with. So I think ultimately he can like make sure that nobody runs up on his girl. Like if it's somebody he doesn't want to square up with, he can be like, UD, can you please speak to him for me? Like Mike Miller did.
Yeah, he also has Jimmy Butler.
Florida.
Jimmy Butler rat up on his best friend's girl on Instagram, if you remember. And Dwayne had
this is true.
Yeah.
That was for show. That was for show.
Also, I feel like Gabrielle Union.
History, I don't know. All right, so
she's on another level.
No, okay. So here's another one. Let's say you bring in a friend that you've had multiple contacts with, so it passes the NBA snuff test, right? And now you're walking through the courtyard of some hotel, and like 3 different guys are yo, what up, Daphne? Like, how do you feel about that?
You got to take her off the list, I guess, right?
You know how I feel? I feel like we should have saved this for the pod. All right. So
she has to leave at that point, right? Like she has to go.
Well, kinda.
Yeah. Some of the stuff I've heard throughout the years, there'd be multiple invites given out to people who didn't know about their pre-existing relationships. Let's just put it that way. All right. Let's get to the game tonight. What are we? We've got 2 minutes left. What are we looking for?
No injuries.
Yeah.
I'm looking for Gabe Vincent to step up. So like I've been talking about, seeing him kind of develop a little bit more. We kind of saw him last game. The defense was there. The playmaking was there. The shot obviously wasn't there, but we know that's his strength. I'd like to see him kind of get his shot going today and see how that kind of develops for the future, to see if they were to do something with none, if they have a reliable backup for him to replace.
That's interesting. Is Myers Leonard going to play tonight? Okay,
if he doesn't, If he doesn't, I don't think he will. I
don't think so, and I think it's because Spo has a history of not offending. Like, listen, he takes a guy out of the starting lineup and doesn't it takes him out of rotation. Like, he's not going to put that guy in for garbage minutes or in a situation like this.
OKC starters just dropped Alexander, Gallinari, Adams, Dort, and Paul.
So Adams is playing.
Yeah, so it's essentially a lot of their regular guys. It's almost like a tune-up for both sides. I mean, I know that Schroeder is out, but it should be some good basketball early on.
Is OKC locked in?
No. Well, I think they can move from 4 to 5 to 6 or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
I think OKC needs to win this game.
Well, nobody wants to play Houston. Right, so
yeah, that's the 4 or 5 right now. They're
right. You don't really want to be the 5. I mean, right? I mean, if you're the 6, you get Denver, and I feel like most teams would be more comfortable with Denver right now, right? You don't
absolutely
right. I mean, I like Denver better than Houston, but I also think in this kind of circumstance with Houston's play style, I don't think that's a play style that OKC necessarily wants to see. And then there's the drama of that series that they probably don't want to deal with, right? You're going against Westbrook, and Harden together. I mean, it's unfortunate. I would say of all the series, that's the one that's unfortunate. There's no fans in the stands, because that would have been been fun going back and forth. Kylie, what do you want to see tonight?
I actually have a quick thing. Okay, it's kind of a conspiracy theory here that I've just thought of, but I'm going to shoot it out here. What if we're not seeing Myers because, I don't know, maybe there's been some development of something and he comes out in the playoffs and all of a sudden he's like a different player?
I mean, it's possible. My favorite thing about the before floor is Alex trying to get in here. I don't know what's wrong with him.
That's what I want to see tonight. I want to see Alex Toledo make it onto the show.
That's it. We're done. Thanks, everybody. We enjoyed the show. See ya. We'll be back for the post-game pod. Alex will be on the calls. I was out of quarantine today. I had a couple Jack and Cokes. Apologies. We'll be back after the game.
Really, just ended it?
Yeah.
I thought
Nope.
you were joking.
No, we do the pregame. It's very loose.